Thank you, Shannon. Welcome.
Oh, well, thank you for that introduction. That was really kind of you. Like I said earlier, it's lovely to be back in the group. With the nutritional therapy and the catering side of the business, the nutritional therapy took a bit of a background step, but we've brought it to the forefront again. So it's great to kind of hit the ground running with this. So the presentation today is helping you eat how I cook. The business is called I Cook You Serve. So I kind of hope that explains it a bit. I'm talking about food and nutrition. I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel. If you want to know something about nutrition, send me a message or Google it. It's all out there, it's all accessible. But I want to give you a different perspective on it. It's only slightly different. Like I said, I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel. Something I'd like you to consider, and if you're a note taker like me, write it down. I've got my pen and paper, so excuse me if I'm looking at my notes. Write down, I know, because so many of these things you may already know, but do you do them? Do you practice them? Are they part of your day-to-day eating habits and daily routines? If they're not, then maybe you want to include them, maybe you want to ignore them, but I'm here just to poke at your brains and at your bellies. Nutrition is important, as we all already know, but actually it's important enough. Each of our businesses is really important to us. It's quite a personal thing. Nutrition is important enough to me to make it a part of my business and a part of my daily routine, to make it a part of my every single day. So that's how important nutrition is to me. And I hope that through this presentation, you feel that at the end of it and going forward, nutrition is as important to you. So today's presentation, I'm going to talk to you about before, during and after shopping, some tips and tricks. At the end, I've got some other tips for chore cooking, if you're bored in the kitchen, if you're looking for something new to do, and then I'd like to share a story with you. So Mark, if you can let me know when I've got 5 minutes left, I will make sure I don't ramble on because it's something I'm really, really good at. Wonderful. So before you go shopping, have a meal plan. This is the oldest tip in the book when it comes to food. Have a meal plan. Why should you have a meal plan? Because it makes it easier. We're all looking to have an easier life so that we have more hours in the day. And a meal plan is a great way to do that. It takes everyone in your household into consideration. It gets people involved. So if you want to get young people into the kitchen, a meal plan is a great way to do that, because actually, oh, we're going to cook your meal today. Would you like to prepare it? Have you got a picky eater? Well, if I know I'm going to have my meal tomorrow, I'm more likely to sit through my sister's horrible meal today, because I know that actually come tomorrow, I'm going to get the food that I enjoy, and I'm there more likely to be more considerate of other people. I'm just going to pause there. If you have any comments or questions, please pop them in the chat. I think questions are obviously really thought-provoking, and I'm happy to get back to them. But comments are just as helpful because they can prompt something else and lead you on to something else. And I really like talking to people. So let me know if you have any comments, stick them in the chat. So back to a meal plan. It means that you only shop for what you need. I like small businesses. Buy one, get one free, the end of the aisle deals. I don't believe in them. I think they're silly, and I don't think we should be getting involved with them. So go to your local grocery store, go to your local butchers, because you get more value. As small businesses, we're all about all about adding value, and your grocery store and your local butchers do that through actually giving you what you need. Nobody needs like 15 carrots. Maybe your household only needs like 4 or 5 carrots. Your grocery store can help you do that. You get their expertise as well. Our butcher, our old butcher, we love him so much. Do you know why? Because he says, oh, this cut of meat, that needs cooking for just a little bit longer, or actually this cut of meat is great for these types of dishes. For our oxtail casserole, we don't need to know how much we need. We just say, right, this is how many portions we're providing. And then he gives us the meat because he knows our product. He knows how we work. So get to know your local community, your local independent shops, and they will support you. They will give you their value and expertise. And at the end of the day, that's what we all need. And that comes from having a meal plan. Another thing that we're really passionate about as a business is food waste. If you're buying more than you need, you're going to waste it. You don't need to waste it. I think as humans, we already waste so much. We already overindulge in plenty of things. You don't need to do that when it comes to food waste. So don't do it. Shop local, buy what you need, and that will come from having a meal plan. Recipes, how do you get started with a meal plan? Find some recipes that you like. This doesn't have to be a big, long, traumatic experience. You don't have to use all of the ingredients on a recipe. Use it as a guide. It doesn't matter if you can't find courgettes in the shop. Sometimes they're not available, and that's okay. Use alternatives, use what is there, rather than focusing on what isn't. This is food, you're meant to enjoy it. You don't need to worry about, oh no, I don't have this and I don't have that. Actually, look at what you do have, and you will get so much from it. Clearly very excited about food. Another way to get started with a meal plan is keep a food diary. All of my nutritional therapy clients, I start with, right, have you got a food diary? Do you actually know what you eat in a day? Because I know that when I sneak into the fridge, that needs to be considered on my food diary. It gives you time to reflect in what you're eating, because you don't always know. Are you aware of actually how many fruit and veg portions you have in a day, or how many carbs and things like that? I'm really pleased to see that the chat is going. I will come back to it at the end. So yeah, thank you for that. So yeah, have a food diary, because it'll help you start putting together I've lost all my words. A meal plan. Yeah, so a food diary helps you with your meal plan. So on to shopping. When you are at the grocery store, whether you're at the supermarket, wherever you are, do not shop when you are hungry. You will buy more food. What does this lead to? Food waste and overeating. Do we need to do that? No, we don't. So that is a big tip. Don't eat when you're hungry. You don't need to. Just have something before you go. Like, come on, we know this. Why don't we do it? Next tip, have a list. Important. Use your list. There is nothing wrong walking around with a piece of paper in your hand, and you're not going to be like, oh yeah, I'll just buy that randomly. You don't need to. If it's not on the list, it doesn't go in the basket. Be strict and it will help your nutrition. As I've said, use independence. You're not going to get caught out. You can buy the foods that you actually want, and you don't have the end of aisle deals. You don't need them, so don't get involved with them. Buy fresh. Really simple. Like I said, I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel. There's nothing like absolutely crazy. Yeah, sticking to the list helps with the finance, absolutely. Yeah, buy fresh, because you're not going to waste it. Like, you know that actually this punnet strawberries, you've got 3, maybe 4 days. You need to eat them. Stick them in a smoothie. Stick them on your breakfast. Like, you must eat them. And if you're buying just randomly, you're not considering what you're eating. And a meal plan and a shopping list helps you be more considerate with food, which I'm sure, as Sarah knows, is so important to kind of be in the moment with whatever you're doing. And food is a really great way to do that, whether you're eating with your family or whether you're just being mindful with food. That ties in really well with nutrition. Where's the best place to get tofu from? I currently get it from a supermarket. I'm not sure. We get ours from the supermarket as well, to be honest, because I don't know where to make flour from. So supermarkets are important for some things, but you don't always need to go to a supermarket. Like, how much nicer is bread when it's from a bakery? It's stuff that we all know, but it can... There's nothing wrong with Guinness being on your shopping list. Just be aware that it's on your list. And yeah, there we are. Yeah, buy fresh is really important, but actually don't worry about having frozen foods, frozen fruit and veg, because sometimes it's handy just to get out the the frozen veg that you have to just stick it in a pan, stick it in a stir fry. I add chocolate onto my wife's list, haha. It's great that you add chocolate onto your wife's list. I love that you do that, but you need to be aware of actually how much you're indulging in that. And if it's on the list, then at least you know. But if you don't know, if you don't have a list and you're just buying chocolate again and again and again, or whatever your indulgence is, I'm not saying it's bad to have indulgence, I'm saying it's good to have an awareness of how much you are eating. Only one bar, just a big one. That's okay. It's good to have a big bar of chocolate. I love chocolate, but I love fruit and veg. I love my body, and I want my body to look after me. So that's what I do. When cooking, so if you need to bulk out some foods, there are some easy, healthy ways to do that. They include oats, beans, and pulses. These are really good for stretching foods out, but without adding texture to your food. So they take on flavour really well. They're easy just to throw in. They like quite, sometimes beans and pulses, oats, chickpeas, things like that. They don't take very long to cook sometimes. So just stick them in and it adds nutrition. It's such an easy way to add nutrition. Whole grains, we all know they're good for us. Stick them in your food. Come on, people. You want to look after yourself. You want to look after your bodies. Nutrition and food is such an easy way to do that. Like I said earlier, I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel. You already know what's good for you. Nuts and seeds. Now, I like nuts and seeds. I enjoy them. They're not for everybody. That's fine. If they work for your household, that's great. If they don't, that's okay too. But they are worth trying. So having a bowl of nuts and seeds, not salted or chili or covered in honey, they don't count. I'm talking about nuts and seeds, red lentils and soup. Yeah, absolutely. We'll come on to soups later. Nuts and seeds will help fill you up, and they mean that you won't overeat, which also means you don't have as much food waste, which is always, always a win for yourself, your finances, and ultimately the planet. So nuts and seeds are absolutely a plus. Like George has just mentioned, don't forget soups and smoothies and stir fries. Why? Because you can just shove everything in a soup. You don't need to follow a recipe for soup. I made soup the other day and my sister said, "Oh, what type of soup is this?" I was like, "I don't know. I just put everything that we had in and it tastes nice. It's good for you. It's full of nutrition. Just eat the soup. It doesn't matter what it's got in it." It had all sorts in it. But I knew that it would be good. So there we are. It's the same with a smoothie. You don't have to worry about what you put in a smoothie. We put spinach in our smoothies. We put kale in our smoothies, cabbage, peas. It doesn't matter. Just stick it in, get the nutrition in. It's such an, soups and smoothies are an easy way to get nutrition into your bodies. So I would really recommend including them within your eating habits, because why not? We're all bored of cooking. We're all bored of like what to do in the kitchen. We're all running out of ideas. Soups and smoothies, they're not difficult. Yes, they take a little bit of time, but the nutrition that they add to your body, it's worth it. So yeah, the typical stick it all in, casseroles as well, they're pretty grand. They take more time, as I said, so this is something that came out of a house move, actually, this tip did. We moved house and we had massive, great big plates. So my mum threw away all of the big plates and brought dramatically smaller plates. Did we notice? No, we didn't. Why didn't we notice? Because we'd recently moved house, everything was changing. We had smaller plates, so what happened? We ate less. There's nothing wrong with eating from a smaller plate. There's nothing wrong with going back for seconds, which my 16-year-old brother always does. And that's fine. But we are more considered with how much we eat, because when you're eating from a tiny plate, you're kind of like, oh, well, this isn't going to fill me up. But when you are using a food diary, when you're eating from a smaller plate and you're considering your food, you're more mindful with your food, you're then more mindful with how you stack your meal, how you stack your plate. Because if you're writing down, soup maker is one of my best gadgets. Yeah, it is. I love soup. When you're writing down like what your plate was made up of, if you've got like loads of chips and like a little bit of veg, you need to write that down. It's that honesty with yourself. It's that self-awareness that, yeah, soup in my NutriBullet. Yeah, that's a really great way to make a smaller portion as well. And soup is adaptable. It lasts quite a long time. So I can go on about it all day, honestly. Where was I? Yeah, smaller plates are really good for controlling portion sizes. So other tips that I would like to provide you with is looking past the actual food to the nutrition that it provides. It's really easy to just look at something like, I don't really like this. Personally, I don't like broccoli. I know it's really good for me, but I don't enjoy it. If I cover it in cheese, it doesn't make a difference. If I put it with something else, it doesn't make a difference. But I know that it's good for me, so I have to look past the food and see the nutrition that will bring me. Give your body the good stuff. We all know what's going on. There is a pandemic around. Don't need to go on about it, but actually look after yourself and look after your body. When you're filling yourself up with processed foods, your body takes time and takes energy that it could be using to, I don't know, fight a pandemic, to process those foods. Your bodies don't need them. Give them the health, the nutrition, the fruits and veg, the whole grains, etc. Give your body those foods because they know what to do with them. This might be a new thought. Your bodies are cleverer than you, and they've been around a lot longer than you have. Our bodies know how to process foods that are healthy for them. If you give them foods that are like newer, more processed, these foods haven't been around as long, and our bodies are like, I'm not really sure what to do with this. And so it takes time. It doesn't make the most of it. Our bodies know how to make the most of good foods. And like I said, these foods have been around for such a long time. How many herbs and spices did the Egyptians use, the Aztecs use? If you just look into it a little bit, well, you don't need to. Use foods your bodies will adapt as well to eating processed foods and not eating processed foods. It's like when you have water like every single day and then you have like an energy drink and you think, oh my word, that's got so much sugar in it. I don't need that. I don't actually enjoy that. Whereas if you have energy drinks every day, you just don't notice. Thank you, Mark. And your taste buds change over time. So with 5 minutes left, I can't do a presentation without talking about hydration. I simply can't do it. It's too important. We have to drink more. I'm glad to see it's there. Like, I've got my water bottle too. Very good. See, this pleases me. So, growing up, my parents, we're a big fan of the bed picnic. If you've not had a bed picnic before, I would really recommend it. What happens is you all climb into someone's bed in the morning and you have breakfast together. There are crumbs everywhere, but it's the best way to spend family time. It is. Trust me, it's really nice. Everyone's got bedhead, but you're all there and you're all there together. But there was one song that would ruin this family time, and I'm quite sure it was created to just terrorize my older brother. And it was originally called If I Had a Hammer, but my parents adapted it. You might hear my mum laughing in the background. I apologize. Bear with me, okay? It was adapted to If I Had a Cup of Tea. And the song goes, if I had a cup of tea, I would drink it in the morning, I'd drink it in the evening, and I'd drink it all over this town. And they would go on, one parent would start it, the other would join in, and eventually they would sing together and they would get louder and louder and louder until one of us got up, went downstairs and made a cup of tea. Now, this is a great way of manipulating your children into making you tea. It works. I've done it. Fine, stop singing. I will go and make some tea. It's a great strategy. Trust me, it works. You just are like, no, I don't want to get up. I'm warm. I'm in bed. Like, don't make me go. But once they've started, there's no stopping until they've got their tea. So what's my point? My point is, what could you do if you had a cup of tea? If you drank more water, if you had better nutrition, if you looked after your bodies the way your bodies are meant to be looked after. My question for you is, what would you do if you had a cup of tea? Does anybody have any questions? Let's go through the chat. Feel free to unmute yourself. And yeah, let me know what your thoughts are.
Any suggestions for the best places in terms of the unwrapped stuff as well? I know, like Mark was saying about plastics, and I was saying about Lidl, they're getting pretty good. Where are the best places for A, plastic free, and B, reusable stuff where you can refill?
There are some, I think it depends on your location. There are some, like you said, grocery stores that you can go and you just have a tub and you can grab like a tub of beans or a tub of pulses. I'm really liking the shops that are embracing the paper bags rather than plastic bags, especially in the fruit and veg aisle. It's silly to have a bag of vegetables in plastic. It's like, this is like really healthy. I've got all of my vegetables in a plastic bag. This doesn't need to. Have you got any locations for?
Only Stratford. It's a bit far from Northampton, but they've opened the first shop that is totally without any, everything is in bulk and you need to bring your own containers. And I think it's one of the first one in the region. It's totally bagless. So you need to bring your stuff, otherwise you have to carry it in your hand.
That sounds good. Is that just a posh shop, Cecile?
No, not at all. What? Because I think it's a French lady that started it, but it's not posh at all. It's very, no, it's very down to a very like love the planet kind of stuff, and it's not posh at all. It's not one of those fancy things you'll find in Chelsea or Mayfair. Much more like, really like, not. I'll send you